invite only. It is set up that way. I've already talked about hosts and sponsors. I use hosts all the time. I use table sponsors all the time. But I talk to them one-on-one first, and I tell them what we're doing. And I'm as direct as I have been in this room. So this is Eagles Fly with Eagles. I'm looking for millionaires in this room. You know 6 millionaires that could join you? And some of them say, no, I really don't. Well, you can attend because you're one of our biggest donors, but I'm not going to have you be a table host. Because I want my table host to know the deal. Sorry I'm so intense. I love this stuff. I got my wife over there with but again, we use RFM. You know that term? Recency, frequency, dollar amount. And we overlay it with their wealth research. And we decide, okay, and you say, how do you overlay it? When I'm coming up with my target list, you know who's the most likely person to attend? Somebody who's ever, not who's given you the most amount of money, who's given the most number of times. There's just something about recency. Somebody that's given you 100, 200 donations over the last 10 years or more, and then and a couple of those donations have been 10,000, 25,000. That person's going to show up. The more donations they make, the more likely it is they're going to attend. So I use recency, frequency, dollar amount with wealth. And I create a target list. And I'm very careful. I use wealth research. I wealth research everybody in the room. Let me tell you the other thing I do. The RSVP list comes in, and it is, you have to RSVP. You know, we don't just do quote and hope events. You know, you got to let us know whether you're attending or not. If you don't let us know, we're calling you to get. You got to tell me yes or no. I'm coming, or I'm not coming. And once I get that list, about 2 weeks out, every week, as we add names to that list, guess what I'm doing? I'm wealth researching those names. Because guess what? Guests are registering. So some of my table hosts that are millionaires that made a commitment to get other millionaires to join them, there's names not on my data file. So I'm wealth researching those people. Now, I'm going to circle back to that and why I do that in just a minute. Ensure your table leaders know the goal. Again, no employees, no low-level employees, no college kids. You know, that's not the purpose of these events. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into an event and it's full of interns and college kids because they got a CEO to be a table host, and he did the easy thing: buy tickets for people that never get to go to stuff like this. And that's not what we're doing. The right people in the room, the devout, they give because it's the only reason they're on this planet. Kingdom building work. You know, and I've met so many like it, it's unbelievable. You know, people that, man, I've tried to retire 3 or 4 times. Every time I do, God wants me to help fund something else, so I'm back in the development business or whatever they're doing. And they give money away. We're looking for those kinds of people. You've got to get those people at this event. The communitarian, the person that, man, they're just pro-community. They're not only at your event, they're at everybody's event. You've got to look at other events. Of course, the other reason you need to look is to make sure you're not hosting your event the same week as somebody else. So picking the right date is really important. And on dates, let me just say, and I won't ask the question, but a lot of people end up trying to do events at holiday time. I tell you, that's the worst time of the year to do this kind of event. Here's why. You will get big gifts, and you will get donations, but they tend to be substitutionary gifts. Instead of you getting a year-end gift, they just give it your year-end gala. So it really didn't help you. It didn't increase additional revenue. And so I always tell people it's better to have it, you know, September. I'll push it to October if I have, early October if I have to, but it's usually September or spring for my gala. And that's so I can get a gift from them then, so that I also get the year-end gift from them. You get a twofer when you do that. And so the timing of it's really important. Those community donors, you got to get them at your event, even if they don't support you now. You want to be identifying who they are. I mean, if they're giving to Salvation Army and they're listed on their top leaders, you got to get them to come to your event, especially if you create a fun event at a really special venue that's really unique, a place where eagles like to fly. They'll come. They'll come. Investors, entrepreneurs, people in your community, and they know supporting the rescue mission is a good community thing. It's good for their business to have their business connected with the work you're doing and giving people, and getting people healthy, giving them employable skills, getting them back to work, and getting them in transitional housing. The social life counts too. If they're wealthy, there's some people just like to go to fun parties, and I'll take them.
That's true.
And I'll take them. They're altruistic. Hey, it feels good. I love this. This is, the good people doing good things. Repair. You know them. Hey, I'm coming. You helped my son who was homeless. You changed our life. I'm going to be there. The Dynast. You know who these are. I mean, there are people in your community that they have their own family foundations, and you want them there. Again, you create the kind of event that creates a lifelong memory, they're going to come. They're going to come. Live music. I want to encourage you to have live music. I still have 15 minutes, so I'm going to show you how we close the banquet. But live music is really important. Don't just play your iPhone over a speaker. Don't do that. You want live music. There's so many unemployed, and I'm one of these. I'm an unemployed singer-songwriter. My wife will tell you singing's truly terrible, but there's a lot of wonderful Christian musicians that would love to have this gig, and to have music during the meal is really important, and then to have music after you make the ask, when people are deciding how much to give, is also really important. Music, people give from emotion. They give from emotion, and music helps you with that. Corporate sponsors, vital to the Gable's success. 100% of your donation tonight goes towards the project of this mission. I want to recognize our sponsors. It's very important. And you want to do that up front, you want to do it in the middle, you want to do it at the end. You got to keep reminding them that this wonderful thing has all been paid for by somebody else. They give the night. They're just not paying for their meal. They're doing something pretty special. Sponsorships, it's all done in advance. Okay? Sponsorship gifts, sponsorship opportunities. Here was Candace's $1 million event. She had diamond level, 24,000 plus, platinum, 20,000. She can have a nice event. Now again, her event cost may not be that much. Anything over and above goes towards the program, but she has the whole thing underwritten in advance. The event checklist, you scan that, I'll send it to you, but I'll send it to everybody anyway. So, but planning, nothing happens by accident. Everything has to be planned in advance. The run of show, every speaker, I'm going to walk you through what it really should look like in a minute. Remember, you are creating lifetime memories. How you stage the event, the lighting, the table settings. You say, does that stuff really matter? It matters. It matters. It matters. Now, again, there are some memories you're creating. And again, I'm sure the potato salad was really good. But I don't think this is a memory I want my major donor to go home with. And we do it every day. We do it every day.
That hurts.
It hurts. It hurts. And you guess what? Those donors that with you, you look at your major donor list. There are some people that left. And they're supporting American Red Cross and
Yeah, they're somewhere else.
somewhere else. They moved on because we created a bad memory.
Good to know.
Everything technically has got to work. Technically has got to work. There's a run of show. It is rehearsed. Every speaker on the platform is there beforehand. Lighting, music, and again, you're not going to run through the whole thing, but nothing is left to accident. Nothing is left to accident. Check-in system, again, it's really important at your events. A lot of people leave your event and never come in because you didn't have the registration table set up correctly. They're waiting in line 20 deep. It's the worst thing you can do. It's the biggest reason events fail. Even people that get through that, they've got such a bad attitude by the time they get in the room, they're not giving any money. They're mad. And so registration is really important. Everything is planned. Again, you need a green room. Green room, it's just John and Tim and Roy. Nope, they need a staging area. They need to pray together. They need to be in the right mindset. It needs to be calm. And they get called to the stage at the right time. I'm going to get into that in just a minute. Nothing is left to accident. You have to pivot. There will be things that happen. Okay? The doggone battery shuts down. I mean, it just happens. But if you've got the run of show and you have contingencies in place and you've got people say, I'm not paying for the AV people. Pay for the AV people. It's important. You got to have the right technology. I wish it weren't true. It drives me absolutely nuts. You can be an event in a room this size and have a speaker right here, but you got to have a monitor. You got to have screens. And a lot of people will be sitting right in front of you, and they're watching it on the screen. We live in a screen society. And so again, be ready for that at these bigger events because you're going to want to do that. Stage production, rehearse. You're going to create a plot. You're telling a story. And again, I like to use 3 pillars. It may be 4, it may be 2. But what you're raising money for, this is just like a Broadway production. We're going to tell a story with the testimonies, with the speakers. It's the client testimonials and testimonials from business people. And so there's going to be a rhythm or a pace to this thing. It's really important. I say business people, these third-party endorsers, people need to see themselves up on that stage. I'll pick people from different generations. Again, sometimes when I can, I'll pre-record them. I love video. It also controls the time. It keeps somebody from getting up there and going on where you got to grab the hook and pull them off the stage. I like having a professional MC. Now, you may have a very talented pastor that he can speak, he can close, he can go through all the introductions, he can introduce everybody, he's up and down, and do a wonderful job. Mentally, people need they need a professional MC, somebody that, and again, it can be somebody at the church, it's a different person. You need somebody that introduces all the speakers, all the testimonies, that kind of runs the thing through. There are people professionally do it, but they don't have to be a paid professional. But they would have had to lead a meeting like this before and build rapport with the audience. I like to have a speaker that's different. And again, it could be your mission president, it could be the speaker. Then you need to have somebody else close and make the ask. So you have an MC, a speaker, and a closer, and there are 3 different people. Okay, and so it's really important. Three different people. The closer walks down the ladder from 100,000, 50,000 to 25,000 to 10. He presents the $100,000 need first, and the 50 walks down the ladder. Now, I talked about doing wealth research of all your attendees in the audience beforehand, right? I said I was going to come back to this. Why do I do that? So that I know everybody in the room beforehand. I know what their capacity is. I know what their giving history is if they've been with us. And then I can say, oh, wait a minute, okay. I see that I have 5 people in the room that have $100,000 plus capacity. I have 25 people in the room, that are couples in the room that have 50,000 capacity. I have 50 people in the room that have $25,000 capacity. And then I have 25 people that have $10,000 capacity. So what do you think my closer's going to do? He's going to break up how he closes, so spend most of his time where most people are in the room. So you're going to have different needs at each level. Well, if I know half the room is at the $25,000 level, I'm going to spend 5 minutes out of my 10-minute close on that level. And so, again, this is all thought out. You're going to be a little freaked out because you're going to see the next time you go to an event, this is not an accident. This is not an accident. How you have $1 million night happens just like this. This is stewardship.
Right.
This is stewardship. Again, the closer, and then I'm not going to model it because I want us to wrap up and I want some questions. But he or she are going to spend most of their time on what most of the people in the room are. You're going to have different needs. Could be pillars, could be your overall budget broken out by program. Any number of ways to do it. But I call this offer development. This 10 minutes is the most important 10 minutes of the program. Are the testimonies important? Yes. Do we want to make people cry? You bet. Is the message from the president important? Want to make people crying or shouting? Yes. Is the music important? Yes. Very emotive. Most important part. Offers. Putting that needs list together. Spending the time on that. Again, when that speaker runs through and the closer then comes up, maybe it's a business person, maybe it's the development director, spends time going through the offers and the needs list, and they make the ask. Then you say, on your table, and again, I'm a big proponent. I know some people love paddles. Okay, everybody hold up your paddles. You get 100%. If you can give 10,000 a night, hold up your paddle. 100,000 or more, 5,000 or more, 1,000 or more, under 1,000. Get 100% participation. Everybody's committed because they were embarrassed to hold up the paddle raise. Okay? The problem with that, you get 100% participation, but you downgrade the giving amount. And so again, I know people that just hooked on paddle raises, and it's fun. They treat it like an auction. I'm not a big proponent of that. I know other people, hey, QR codes. People are giving by phone. Just use your QR code, go to the giving page, make a donation tonight, and in real time, we can put the results on the screen. That is if the Wi-Fi doesn't crash. As fun as that is, people don't make $100,000 gifts on their cell phone. As a matter of fact, people aren't going to write a $100,000 check in that room. So what you have to give them is a pledge form. An old-fashioned piece of paper where they say, hey, my wife and I are praying about giving X. And again, the closer's going to walk them through. Listen, tonight, while the music plays, the band's going to come back up, and just one more song, just 5 minutes. I want you and your spouse to lean into each other and just share with one another what the Lord's laid on your heart. Maybe you can't give it from a cash gift tonight. Some of you that are thinking about a $100,000 gift, that may be a gift of stock. It might be a gift of real estate. It might be another appreciated security that you have. You guys can take a little time to move those assets around. I'm not asking what you can give tonight, but I'm asking you to just pray about this. There's nothing legal about this document that you're going to put your pledge amount on. But what it does, it helps us to plan, helps us to budget, helps us to follow up with you. We find some people, when they go back and check their finances, they're able to give more. Some people are able to have to give a little less, and that's okay. But it's really important for you to fill out that pledge form. Again, the next level down, then the next level down. Just give us, your name, address. Of course, you've already registered in advance. We know who you all are, but put your name on there, fold it up, put it in the envelope. And put it in the big envelope at the center of the table, and our staff's going to collect it at the end of the night. So while the music plays, please take just a few minutes and prayerfully consider what you could help us with. Here's the thing, if you just ask for cash, according to Forbes magazine last year, the average millionaire keeps less than $10,000 in their bank account. So if you want to give for $10,000 or less, ask for cash. If you want to give for $1,000 or less, just pass the offering plate. Okay? You want to have a pledge form where people can say, hey, you know, we're thinking about a gift of this amount. We were interested in this project you talked about. And again, the projects I outlined are going to be on that pledge form, and the giving levels are going to be on that pledge form. So it's really, really important. And you know, because you really want to, you know, the closers are going to walk them through the process. Couple other things. I mentioned videos. I mentioned, you know, even broadcasting the speaker on the screens. Testimonials, if you can, video them in advance. And the reason is these clients aren't professional speakers, and they can get up there and get emotional and be crying and go on far too long. And you'll be able to much better capture their testimony by putting it in video. Now, they can be there, you can call them up, you can pray for them, but don't let them speak. Record it in advance. And people want to see the recording. They want to see them. You know, and again, I know I'm a big proponent of having your clients, you know, at the event. I love, if I can, to have a client seated at every table, if I can. It's not always possible. Now, you know, I know I've had some missions that won't do that because they had a bad experience. You know, client did something dumb, said something shouldn't have. But I think you can vet that process. But use videos. You can also control the timing. People want to watch videos. A fearless closer, and you're looking at one. I do it for a living. You know, I mean, I've probably closed 40 or 50 of these in the last 5 years. And so it's really, really important. Pledge form, something as simple as this. It's really simple. Again, entertainment, MC, keynote, the closer are critical. I've seen people have an amazing event, and then nobody asks for money. Oh, wasn't that fun? Yeah, that was terrific. Got to do all three. Live broadcast quality video, it's worth it. Spend the money on it. Get it done right. It's critical. Professionally produced run of show, not a wasted word. Use a separate closer who climbs down the ladder. Make sure the Wi-Fi works. Well, you know, I've really enjoyed this time. I could tell you story after story. I mean, one of the closes I did, and some of you may have heard of this guy, Sean Foyt. He has a ministry called Let Us Worship. And I got called, and he said, Roy, you know, this was just after COVID. And he said, I'm leading worship services that really started out as protest rallies. In California, they banned churches from having worship because of COVID. And so he started leading outdoor worship rallies. One thing led to another. He's leading worship services all over the country. You know, he and 3 or 4 of his partners. And I said, well, tell me how you raise the money for this. He said, well, churches will just pay our expenses, and we load up the van and off we go. And we go from one church to another. I said, now Sean, how you paying for gas money? He said, well, we have people come up and give us names. I said, all right, Sean, I'm a guitar player. I'm a lead guitar player, as a matter of fact. I've never played in a band that didn't have a merch table. You got a merch table? I said, yeah. I said, well, what do you sell there? I said, T-shirts, you know, our DVDs, you know, streaming to our music. I said, and how do they pay for it? He said, Apple Pay. I said, so you think you don't have a mailing list? I said, you got a mailing list. Contacted Apple Pay, found out he had 5,000 T-shirt buyers. All right. I took those 5,000 T-shirt buyers. We did the AI wealth research on it. We identified 1,000 millionaires.
Wow. Out of 5,000.
Unreal.
So what should we do? I said, Sean, we need to have an event. And I said, out of 1,000, we'll probably get 100 of them come. And he said, how are we going to pay for it? I said, who's your biggest donor? I said, who walked up to you after an event and just gave you the biggest check you've ever got? I said, well, Mrs. I'll just use the name Johnson. And she was, I think, Boca Raton or someplace. I said, well, let's call Mrs. Johnson in Boca. And he goes, now? I said, yeah, call her right now. We're on cell phones. You can patch her in. Let me talk to her. Called her in. Hello, Sally. Hey, it's Sean. How are you? Yeah, the Lord's doing great things. Thanks so much for what you did for us. I've got a friend of mine, Roy Jones, on the phone, and he asked me to call you. Sally, let me tell you what's going on. You know, we've just identified 1,000 donors just like you that could do something really special. And we'd like to have an event and see if we can get maybe a couple hundred of them to come. And what do you think about that? Would you come? She goes, oh, absolutely. She goes, I love that idea. I said, if you were going to have the event or plan the event, where would you put it? She goes, oh, I do it at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. I said, Sally, that's an expensive venue. I said, you do an event there for 100 couples, you're probably talking $50,000. She goes, I'll pay for it.
Wow.
So we worked on our offer development. We did everything we had here, videos. We had our needs list, our $100,000 needs, our $50,000 needs, our 25s, our 10s. We didn't invite all 1,000. Sean was afraid they all might want to show up. But we invited 500 of those top 1,000, the 500 wealthiest, as well as those who had given the most. We kind of overlaid the two. We came up with our 500 targets. We had 100 couples RSVP. We laid out, you know, everything in advance. You know, we had a program. We had our offers. We had our needs list. We identified $4 million worth of needs to be able to take this to take what Sean was doing to every state capital in the country. Sean shared his vision, played music, showed testimony, had testimonies there. I closed. That night we raised $3.6 million from 100 t-shirt buyers. And so it's about getting the right people in the room and doing the right things. This is ministry. It's different, and it blows people's minds because we all come from a church mindset that the widow's mite is just as important as the wealthy donor, and that's true. And in that church setting, that's how you have to minister. But what we're doing is very different than that. The only thing we have of value is our time, and you saw it in the video yesterday that we produced. We all pray that God would give us $1 million. Give us $1 million at this event. God only sends people. And it's our job to identify the right people, put them in the right event. The worst thing you can do is take widow's mite donors, $50, $100 donors, and put them in an event like this, where you're asking for 100,000. A lot of them just drop their hat and leave and brokenhearted. You crushed them.
Right.
This is the worst thing you can do. You want the right people in the room. The other side is, you have wealthy people in the room and you do a big pitch to pay for 100 meals. Well, they'll give you a check for $50, but guess what? They leave downhearted, crushed, knowing that you didn't have the same vision they had. So it's our job. Again, you got to have tracks for both, and there's a place for both. But these events are really important. Don't give up on it. Don't give up on it. It's how we minister to these precious donors that God has sent to you. Questions? Well, thank you for the time. Again, I appreciate it, and I'll get this deck out to everybody. Please call me with questions. As I said, you know, the meter's not running. You know, we want to help you. You know, of our 15 clients last year, half of them, we started out providing just free fundraising advice and counsel to. I teach industry best practices. There's certain things that we do that I think are unique, but to have, and again, I work with any of the agencies out there. They all know me. Some of them don't like me, but because I make them do certain things. You know, I'm a big proponent of creating, as I've said, major donor communications, and it's a little different than how we communicate with the regular donor. So I'm here to help. I can help coordinate with the agency. I can be a mentor and a coach to you, and help you with events and major gift development. That's our sweet spot. But thank you for the time, and again, I appreciate you.